Well, good morning everybody, or afternoon, whichever time of day it is. Welcome to back to the kitchen. I had a bit of a thought. Management and planning, that's the most important thing to save time. So often than not, I do bulk dishes and then I freeze them so that I've got bases to use things. So today I thought that what we would talk about is all the different things you can do with a basic cooked mince with onions and carrots in it. I also did it with chopped tomatoes, a little bit of garlic and some mixed herbs. And I put it in containers and I freeze it in this sort of size container, sort of Chinese takeaway sort of thing. You can use foils or whatever you like, but it's all nice, it's cooked and all the preparation's done. And then I can take it on an excursion to do something different with it. So we're going to have a few dishes and see if we can inspire you to, instead of doing a basic mince and mashed potatoes, we could do something a little bit different and perhaps open your eyes to another little way of using minced beef. Now, of course, you don't have to do beef. You could do minced turkey, you could use minced lamb, you can use soya mince, you can use minced pork if you want to. But I think the beef is probably a good staple to actually start off with. I have used turkey mince, which you can buy easily. When I buy minced beef, I usually buy about £10. Many years ago, when I first started doing sort of outside catering, I got an order for doing a buffet supper for, I think it was 60 people, and it was for beef bourguignon. And I had 3 or 4 saucepans on the stove because I didn't have anything big enough to do it. So I said never again. So I measured my oven and I went off to the shop and I bought a saucepan that would go into the oven, and I still have them. Here we go, some nice big saucepans, and these will go into the oven, whatever bulk catering that I'm doing. And sometimes if I'm doing something like a shin of beef, or I'm doing beef bourguignon, then it will go into the oven overnight on a very low oven. And the mince, I did exactly the same. I put it all together in the pot, put it in the oven and left it overnight, and the next morning took it out, let it cool slightly, put it in containers, and then got it refrigerated so that it cooled down very quickly, and then it was ready for the deep freeze. So if you haven't got a big saucepan, then I do recommend you invest in one if you have an option to do bulk catering, bulk amounts of food preparation. The other thing I also like to do in these pots is that I buy chopped tomatoes and I make a basic tomato sauce with chopped onions, chopped tomatoes, and I use a little bit of garlic and minced herbs, tomato puree, so it's nice rich tomato sauce. Very good for making stews and beefs, or a basic sauce to go with pasta, which are really some things that we're going to do today. So let's get rid of the saucepans. So I think the first excursion we're going to do is, we all know minced beef, you can make a bolognese sauce. My first container today of minced beef all come out. Now when I set this and put it in the deep freeze, it was quite wet. It wasn't very dry, so I don't want it to get too wet again. So I could thin this out with tomato sauce if I wanted to, my homemade tomato sauce. But in this instance, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some tomato puree in to give it a tomato base. If you use tomatoes, always a good idea to add a little pinch of sugar, just to counterbalance the acidity of the tomato. You can warm that up now, and it's ready to be bolognese sauce, just to add to pasta that's ready cooked. So why not play around with some more ideas of what you can do with your bolognese sauce? But I'll tell you something else I did, just to give you an idea. You could put it into pasta and make a pasta bake. But the other night, or in fact last night, I cooked some sausages and let them cold, and then I chopped them up, and then I added them to, I cooked some pasta, put some of my homemade tomato sauce in, and then I had some vegetables left over, so I put that in as well. And all together, we had all this, as in to break this up slightly so you can see. Here's the sausages, we've got a bit of broccoli, some courgettes I did fresh on occasion. What I suggest you do is you can put it into a container, and before we're ready to finish it, I'm going to put a little bit of white sauce on the top of that and some grated cheese, and there you have a basic pasta bake. You could have used the minced beef, the tomato minced beef with pasta. You can put vegetables into it if you want to, but top it off with the white sauce, bake it in the oven, and there you've got a pasta bake. So there you are, quite simple. We'll do that and we'll put it in the oven in a little while. The other thought I had was, some of you like to play lasagna, perhaps haven't got any lasagna pasta or something. So instead of that, what I did was I've made some pancakes. Texture's very similar and very easy to do. All ready to go. So there you've got all my pancakes already made. I've got some white sauce that I've made. We covered making up a white sauce a few weeks ago, so let's warm it up in the microwave and we'll be ready to put it together in just 1 minute. We'll get some mozzarella out and some grated parmesan, which I made earlier. I've warmed my sauce up. So I sometimes keep some of this in the fridge, not for a long time, but if I make some and I'm using it, I might add some mustard, grain mustard to it, or some grated cheese to make a sauce to go over cauliflower or broccoli to make it into a bake. That's quite thick. What we'll do is we'll warm it up a little bit more. The other thing I want to do is I want to do another dish with some fresh spinach. So what I'm going to do is, while we're there, take the fresh spinach, it's young, put a couple of holes in the bag, and that can be wilted in the microwave for 3 minutes. And then when it comes out, you want to drain it. So let's do that. You may not be as reliant on your microwave as I use. Some people are a bit skeptical about using the microwave, but I find that it's often more fuel efficient, much easier to do, and it works very, very quickly. There we are, we've got our white sauce. As we said we'd put some on top of the pasta bake, so there's my pasta bake there. A little bit of white sauce on the top. That's that one done. Very quick and simple. Going to put a little bit of mozzarella on the top. And I've got some Parmesan cheese that I've already grated. That can go on the top as well. I do recommend, if you can, for ease of handling, put your dishes on a baking tray when you put them in the oven, because it does help to get them out when they're hot. What we're going to play with now, a little bit of white sauce on here. Spread it out. There we go. And instead of using pasta, I'm going to use pancakes. Put some of our bolognese sauce on. Thin layer on there. Put a little bit more sauce in the middle, just to sort of spread it out a little bit. Another pancake. Another layer of mince. I'll get a knife just to spread that. like that. Then you can do as many layers as you like, but I'm just going to do one more. And then on the top will go my white sauce. As I say, the preparation in advance is what's important. Your minced beef, you've got it. And then to finish it off and get that lovely topping, I've got a little bit of grated mozzarella to go on the top there. And I will add, for that little bit of extra flavour, I'm going to add some parmesan just to do on there. And there you go. That one's ready for the oven. Wow. That was not difficult, was it? There you go. Okay. Now where else can we go with this? Well, the sauce of the basic mince. You may like chili con carne, and it's one of those things that people love. It's a good standby. I often feel people don't serve it properly because the accompaniments with chili con carne should be rice. You can use yogurt or sour cream or creme fraiche. Raw chopped onions, chopped avocado and grated cheese are the side dishes to go with chili. So often than not, I'll take one of these mince packets, put it in a pan, and I will use, sometimes I make my own spices, but I also like using a basic spice. So I buy a packet, I put either 1 or 2 in, depending on the quantities I'm doing. Add a can of red kidney beans, and hey presto, you've got chili con carne. You've just got to chop up all the garnishes to go on the side. So that's very simple, not difficult to do. So what I did think, we would go down a slightly different excursion, and this one you're going to find possibly quite interesting. My spinach is wilted. Do be careful when you take it out of the microwave because it is hot, obviously, because it's been doing what it's doing. So I then transfer it into a colander, put it on the side. Wonder what am I going to do this time? Well, I can use that bolognese mixture which I've got, which I can do, or I can start fresh. But I'm going to use the bolognese mixture because it's got the tomato in, gives you that little bit of extra flavour. And this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add to this mixture the spinach, which I'm going to pass a knife through briefly, just to break it up, because it's leaf spinach after all. Very simple. Just chop it. Basically, you don't want it too fine because you want to be able to see it. And then we're going to transfer it into the mince, stir it through like that. Then we're going to take pancakes. Pancakes, what fun, what fun. Here we go. Little bit of mince in the middle, like this. Roll it over and put it in your dish, like this. Can you see that? Can you see? Very simple. I suppose you've already guessed what it is, but you've never thought about using pancakes. There you have cannelloni. And over that, we can put some of our sauce. Just enough sauce for the day. I think that was clever. Right. So having done that, we've got our cannelloni, again, topped with cheese, just to give you that nice finish, when it all goes brown and lovely. I sometimes use cheddar. as well, or you can put blue cheese on for a change. That gives you a different flavour. If you've got that, I always find that there's always bits of cheese in the fridge. So have a look and see what they are. Don't discard them. Either grate them or things. If you use blue cheese, you need to have it really cold from the fridge, otherwise it's difficult to grate. But it's always nice. It's always nice on cauliflower too. I have a blue cheese cauliflower instead of a cheddar cheese cauliflower. I quite like that. And if we're lucky, this will go into the oven. Not quite yet. Often than not, there's never enough shelves in the oven. I recently bought a new cooker and I kept the shelves because I always want more shelves, so that goes in the oven too. They usually take about 20 minutes to half an hour just to warm through and go brown. So then we have another idea. We'll take another batch of mince which we've made in bulk. This is a dish that I discovered some years ago, and I have to say I do quite like it, and it's a South African dish. And to this we're going to add some mango chutney. We're going to add some curry powder like that, and we're going to add some sultanas. Alright, here we go with this one. Put the dishes into the container. Now the interesting thing we're now going to do is this then gets topped with an egg custard. 2 eggs for half a pint, 4 eggs for a pint of milk. So we put 2 eggs, a little bit of salt and pepper into that because it's savoury. We want half a pint of milk. You just pour it over the top like this. That too is now ready to go into the oven. So there you have another idea of what you can do with the mince. Now here we go with another idea, something called risotto al forno, and this one is quite fascinating. More mince. What I'm going to do, actually, I've still got some of this mixed bolognese mixture left, so I'm going to finish it off so that I don't waste anything. To it I'm going to add rice, ready cooked rice, ready to go. Break it up with a fork so that if there's any sticky bits, you don't get big clogs of rice there. You can do what you like in terms of ratios, because that will depend on how far you want to stretch it, depending on what you've got. Remember, as I said, these minces can be soya if you want to be vegetarian, or they could be turkey, so it's low fat, low cholesterol. There's no reason why you can't make your mince from venison, or you can make it from pork. Is a little bit too strong in flavour, and I find sometimes that if you're a bit short on colour, say for instance with the turkey, then a little bit of commercial gravy browning will just give you that little bit of extra colour and depth if you want it. So we have a dish. Of course you can add vegetables to it if you like. Of course this has got spinach in it already. And all we do then is sprinkle it with a little bit of cheese. the last of the mozzarella for today. Never fear, I have more. And that too now can queue to go into the oven, and we'll have a look at it later. Not short of ideas so far. Now, where else can we go? How about, what would you do to do a cottage pie? Now, that's an interesting one. How about we take our mince? What excitement we have today. Here's our mince, not short of all right. Now you're going to say, oh, that's easy. Cottage pie, you put minced mashed potatoes on the top and everybody's done it. However, instead of mashed potatoes, I have prepared cauliflower and parsnip mash. That's a bit different, isn't it? Now, I do find I steam the cauliflower because I don't want it to get too dry, and the reason I put the parsnip in is just to help dry it out a little bit. But you could use potatoes as well if you want to, so you can do a cauliflower and potato. I would use 2 parts cauliflower and 1 part potato, and I have on occasion used instant mash in the cauliflower mash just to dry it out a little bit. The other thing you could use is some ground rice if you wanted to, so that it actually helps you with that. So there you have a cauliflower and parsnip mash on your cottage pie. Cottage pie, of course, being beef, shepherd's pie being minced lamb. If you wanted to extend it into a Cumberland pie, it has grated cheese on the top. So, as we're having a cheesy day for today, we will take some cheddar and just grate it on the top, which will give you a nice finish when it's baked in the oven, and add another depth of flavour. There we are. Very simple. And there's another little inspiration for you to play with on that front. So that also will go in the oven in a minute. And then I can give you one other suggestion, which was something which is a hangover from my dear grandmama, who used to do minced beef. With a slightly different innovation. Here's our minced beef as a dish, already done. Now, in our household, we have dinner every night at 7 o'clock, and I usually plan to leave the office around 6. So I tend to want to put dinner on the table within an hour, and as I've intimated before, much of the preparation that I do for the following night is done the night before, so that I save a lot of time. And with something like this, as you can see how quick they are to put together. So, you know, if you're going to, it often helps. For instance, something like this mince, you've only got to defrost it because it comes out the freezer. But then just to finish it, as we have done, it's very quick and simple, and it's only the cooking time which takes the difference. So this one, instead of doing a potato topping, I'm going to do a savoury crumble. My grandmother used to do this, and it was a very firm favourite. It's just a little bit different than the conventional potato topping, and I prepared this. It's basic crumble mix, and to it I've added some rolled porridge oats and some grated cheddar, and also some seasoning, some little bit of cayenne pepper you can add into it, just to give it a little bit more heat and top up. Let's see where we're going with this. So there you have minced beef crumble. there you are. That's how many different ways? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ways to do minced beef that you've prepared in advance and extended to another adventure. And we'll have a little break and then we'll show you the cooked items. Well, here we are back again. Cooking time always has to have a little break so that you get things done and cooked. And what have we done? We've done 7 dishes, and I don't know if you remember what they were, but we'll go through them and we'll have a look at them as they're sort of finished now and out of the oven. So the first one we started off with, if I remember, we made a bolognese sauce, which we then used to make a lasagna, which we used pancakes for. So here we have the lasagna, nicely baked, all ready to serve. You can see it there as well. Nicely baked. They take about 30 minutes to 45 minutes, depending on the oven temperature. I have a convection oven, so I put them on 180, which in a conventional oven, that's not fan assisted, that would be 200 degrees. And in gas, it would probably be gas mark 7 or 8. But the thing to do is you want it hot enough to be able to get a nice colour on the top, but also not to cook too quickly so that the dish actually warms through at the bottom as well. So that was the lasagna that was done. So then we went a bit further. We talked about the chili. That was dead simple. We didn't do that one. We did have the bonus one, which I hadn't planned on doing, but it was a thing that I created yesterday, which was a pasta bake using sausages, which we put into a tomato sauce. We added pasta and I added vegetables to it. I put courgette in. The courgette I just chopped up and put in when I warmed the sauce up. And I had some vegetables left over, which was some broccoli and some sugar snap peas. They were there in a container. So rather than waste them, I mixed it all together. And there we go with our pasta bake, nicely done. Already ready to serve. These, now they've been cooked, they could be easily heated up in the microwave just to warm them through, or put them in a hot oven. You might find putting a little bit of foil on the top just from stop them from getting any browner on the top again. So that was that one that was done. Then we played around with pancakes again and we created cannelloni, and that's actually sort of cooked there. There, we got it there. You can just see the cannelloni shapes on the side here. Nicely done. Another dish. These dishes you can serve possibly with a nice chopped crispy salad, or you can do some nice vegetables to go on the side. They don't really need a potato or a rice because the starch is already there and the carbohydrate. So that's another one. If you didn't want to use a white sauce, a cheese sauce, you could always put your tomato sauce over the top and sprinkle it with a bit of cheese just to give you a finish. So you could have a tomato sauce with that and heat them through. So that was that one done. You could always fill the pancakes with a fish dish if you wanted to. Some fish with a little bit of white sauce in it. Make it all together, put them in the pancakes, and then just put a little bit of white sauce over and finish it. Then we played around with a risotto. It's a bit of a change. It's not the same sort of risotto made with arborio rice. It's just using up rice and mince put together, and bake it, put it in a little bit of cheese on the top, and there we've got, what can we call that? A risotto al forno if you want to, or a meat risotto. But very simple, nice snack dish, again, very nice with a nice salad, crispy salad that's nicely dressed with a vinaigrette or something like that. So that's number 4. Number 5, where did we go next? We played around with a mince. We curried and put mango chutney in, and we put sultanas, making it into what is a famous South African dish called babuti. And instead of the classic, instead of putting a potato topping on the top, we put an egg custard, which comes out like that. So there we have it. I'm going to play with that again in a minute and I'll show you just a second. We then had a look at a cottage pie, a different spin on a cottage pie. We put on a cauliflower and parsnip mash on the top instead of the classic potato. You could always use sweet potatoes as well, or sweet potato, or you could put carrot and potato. the options are incredible. That if you've got a little bit of imagination, you can do that. But that's our finished cottage pie done. And then, of course, my grandmother's favourite, she used to serve, was a nice mince with a savoury crumble topping, and the crumble, of course, has got in it porridge oats and grated cheese, a little bit of cayenne pepper to give it a bit of sparkle. But that's just a nice crispy topping there again, all done. So there you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dishes that we've actually created. Plus we talked about chili con carne, and all done and prepared in a matter of moments and then baked in the oven. And whilst we were baking in the oven, we were busy tidying down the kitchen and preparing for our next dishes that we'll be preparing in a few days' time, so that we can come back to you and give you some other ideas to play in the kitchen. I hope you enjoyed the excursion. It's a nice sunny day today, so I think it's time to have a look in the garden. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks a lot for joining us, and bye for now.